Hello, this is Wesly Feuquay, leading expert in transformational psychology. So in this world of transformational psychology, we've all been trained by some really incredible people. And I feel like highlighting some very important influencers in our world over the years. And if you don't know some of the key players that have brought you to the place where you are now, it's good just to know a little bit about them. So I want to take a minute and acknowledge some of them. So, of course, the grandfather of our work, the Sigmund Freud of our work, is Żywerad Slavinsky, who was from former Yugoslavia, which then became Serbia. And he basically did consciousness science for the better part of 50 years. He was a leading expert in consciousness science. And he was an ardent student of just hundreds of different modalities. And he would absorb them all. And he was a grand synthesizer. And he would strip away everything that he felt was superfluous and that he didn't need and just keep the core fundamental operating principle of that modality. And then he would learn to hone it and make it even better. And if you ever have the privilege to go back and read some of Żywerad's books, he can reference so many different methods and modalities and histories and influences. It's a remarkable journey into the past of our entire work. And we really owe it to him to lay down the foundations of the system that we have been trained in. And he originally called it spiritual technology. And I think it's a brilliant term because it really kind of got at the essence of what was happening there. It was a kind of spiritual psychology. And he was very motivated to help others and to liberate them and to give them peace and also to empower other people. He was very open to teach other people what it was that he was doing. And he's just a remarkable figure in our past. One of his right-hand people was Vladimir Stojakovic, also Serbian from former Yugoslavia, now lives in Sydney, Australia. And Vladimir was probably Żywerad's most prodigious student. And Żywerad trusted him implicitly with so many things. And Vladimir became very, very skilled at all of the legacy protocols. In fact, he's got quite a bit of notoriety in our world. If you've ever heard the story about the individual who did 30,000 aspectics on himself, this was Vladimir. He did that. He talks about this and outlines that experience in a book called Journey into Oneness. But Vladimir went on to, again, synthesize all that he had learned from Żywerad and created his own systems, Integra Protocol, Satori Protocol. And in my opinion, these are fantastic, cutting-edge, front-facing modalities that I think are going to be our best shot at getting the world to take us seriously in what we do. And these methods are simple, almost Zen-like in their presentation, and they are so deep, and yet they look so simplistic on the surface, and they're absolutely elegant. And his work is embedded in the fabric of what we do. There's also Żywerad's children, Ivana and Philip, who primarily work in Eastern Europe and have created their own systems for goal acquisition, problem resolution, deeper spiritual awakenings. And they have done a remarkable job of serving their father's legacy and also going on to create their own works. There's also the work of Satyen Raja from Vancouver, Canada, who, in my opinion, did something that hadn't been done before at all. And he really gets credit for not only being one of the first people to bring the work over to the West, but also he gave it a system. He gave it point by point outlines that we never had before. And he put a kind of Western spin on them so that I think we could absorb the material and the message much more clearly. And he really gets credit, I think, for modernizing our work, certainly systemizing it, and allowing us to be in a place and to be on a platform to disseminate the work in a much greater way, more than we had ever seen before. And he turned it into a business opportunity for so many of us and showed us that you can make a living as a coach if you want to with this stuff. And he absolutely gets credit for that. And then there's also Melanie McGee, who is not only a psychotherapist, but also a deeply trained peat processor, and has created her own systems and has been training counselors and creating continuing education credits for people in the psychological community, and really giving it credence and legitimacy to that whole group of people that we really eventually one day want to be our allies and to understand what it is that we do. And then there's myself, who've been a student of all these systems. I've gone on to create my own programs with the Rapid Rewire method with my colleague Stephanie Kwong, and my own Silogia Institute that I started with my students years ago. And I've been absolutely driven to bring forth education around consciousness, purpose, transformation, come up with systems and modalities and theories and ways of presenting this work to people that otherwise wouldn't have the capability to feel good about their inner skill set to liberate other people. And of course, all of you who are already in this community. We want this to be open source. We want this to grow. And you're going to be bringing your influences. You're going to be bringing your expertise in the fold. We are all going to bring water into this harbor, and all the boats are going to go up. And so we have to acknowledge all of you as well, who are bringing in all kinds of fantastic nuance and subtlety and your own creative ideas into our work. This is an ever-growing, organic, open-ended psychology, coaching, spiritual development tool. And that's where we come from. And I thought I wanted to share that with you.